Hey guys, it's Kraus here. I've been meaning to review this software for years, and I keep procrastinating. Every time I do a debriefing or an after-action report, I always think about how great this software is, and then I forget or I procrastinate to make a video. So I really put some time aside today, even if it's an awkward and sort of rushed review. I just wanted to let you guys know about this so you can start using it and really get some more value out of your flights. So today I want to review Tacview. Tacview is a debriefing tool that allows you to load replay files of BMS, DCS, and other simulators, and then you can see in 3D, you can play back the action in 3D along the timeline of the mission and see all the different entities, all the different aircraft, all the different ordnances, SAMs, locations, and you can sort of understand what went right and what went wrong. And you can use that data and that review as ammunition to improve your situational awareness and refine your skills. It's the only way to really do that right now, because often when you're in a flight, it's crazy. It's like a knife fight in a telephone booth. You're being shot at, you're shooting at people. You have pretty low SA when you're in a dogfight. You're just tumbling around in the air, and you might even almost hit the ground at several points. So when you actually have some time afterwards to sit down and play back the recording, you can really understand what happened and why. So that's the point and the value of this software, is you can load it up, understand what truly happened during the mission, and compare the data so you can continuously improve. As part of flying, part of this community is constantly improving, constantly pushing the envelope and getting better. The way we use it in the squadron is we will do a large mission, and then afterwards everyone will get on the TeamSpeak. We'll load this thing up in multiplayer because it has multiplayer support, and we'll run through what we could have done better, what went well, and learning objectives. You also see a lot of my videos on YouTube. I have at the end of the mission, I have a recording of Tacview overlaid with the in-game sound, overlaid with a narration track where I'm explaining what's going on. And that's because there's no other way to really do that, right? You can't really understand the overall situation until you load it up in Tacview. So accordingly, it's a great tool. I really highly recommend that you guys get it. There's a free version, and then there's a paid version. The paid version lets you do online. Well, basically, you can use the free version forever, but you can't do the online debriefings with the paid version once the trial is over, which is probably one of the best features, and you also will lose some functionality it takes away some features once the trial runs out. So, highly recommend that you get the paid pro version if you're doing anything with multiplayer, and just get the trial version regardless so you can start using this thing right away. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the features that are in Tacview, and hopefully this is useful to you guys. Hopefully it's not too tedious. So we'll go ahead and start off with the top left here. We'll just do a tour of the UI, and we'll go over what's valuable about each of these features. The top left over here has telemetry data views of entities that you have selected via these drop-down menus. So on the top left, you have this first telemetry box, second telemetry box. Telemetry is basically a fancy word for performance data. So I have this F-16 Charlie selected right here, and it's telling me the heading, airspeed, Mach, G-load, altitude, etc. of this entity. I can jump to other entities by holding down Control and then left-clicking, and then it will populate the telemetry box with that entity's data. So this is my aircraft right here. I'm nosing into these bandits that are approaching, and you can see here my G-load, speed, all that stuff. So right now I'm pulling 4Gs, 5Gs, trying to avoid these bandits. Meanwhile, my wingman's going in and is clearing my 6. And the really valuable thing here is that you can compare the telemetry data of two aircraft in a dogfight. So if you're in like a rolling scissors, you can see why you lost the fight or why you won, right? When you're in a merge, hey, if you're going 700 knots and the other guy's going 350 knots, he's closer to corner speed, he's going to make a tighter turn, he's going to get inside your 3-9 line and kill you before you do, because you're going to be making a wider turn and bleeding off more energy when you turn. So you can see that stuff now visually, and it's really interesting when you're in a dogfight, because these ribbons that are behind the aircraft, you can actually like modify their size and tweak their size. But the thing is you can sort of see, you know, if you go into like any dogfighting book, like, you know, Robert Shaw, Dogfighting Fundamentals, or the Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals, or anything like that, you always see those diagrams where it's like ribbons of, you know, a fighter aircraft chasing each other, trying to kill each other and doing maneuvers. Well, the cool thing is you can actually see that in 3D in this software. You can actually see people. I don't know if there's any dogfights in this recording. Maybe right here. But the cool thing is you can see those ribbons, and you can extend it so that they stay out for a really long time. And then you'll see when people are in the turn, and, you know, their historicals, basically, what they did to defend against an attack aircraft. So anyway, that's the telemetry view, and you select these drop-down menus here to actually select the different entities. And it has a really cool feature where it also has the events that correspond to that entity in the list. So theoretically, if you wanted to, you know, if you wanted to see when something happened, you can click on it. So I have this Mika shot from this Rafale at 2051, and you can see here it hasn't happened yet, but once it does happen, once the event does happen, it will come into view. He's probably about to shoot here. Whoop. And then it follows the Mika all the way to the target. In the middle of this box here at the top of the UI is also the range between the two entities and the aspects and closure rate. So this is a good visual way to see that, and it also draws that on a green line between the two selected entities. So let me select one that's a little closer here. So you can see here, I just hold down Control and right click, and I selected these two entities. You can see here that there's a 1.1 nautical mile closure. The closure rate's getting closer. The entity is, the F-18 is cold aspect to the missile, but the missile is tracking. That red line is the AOA, basically AOA vector. So the redder it is and the longer it is, the worse the AOA, or higher the AOA, I should say. So back to the UI over here on the left, you can sort of see the event list, and the stuff that's in the future is grayed out. The stuff that is in the past is colored in. You can see, oh, I want to know when, you know, let's look through the event list, find something interesting. Oh, I see that Lexi fired a Python 5, so I'm going to click on that, and you'll see, oh, she fired a Python 5, and she fired it at this MiG-21. You can see here the closure rate's getting very close. This MiG-21 is probably dead. Boom. Gets hit. And Lexi got a good kill. Some other great features that you have with this software is, you know, over here on the top left, you obviously have the position of whatever you have selected, the time frame, the timestamp, and the playman speed, the play speed, which is what it says play. At the bottom left here, there's a time bar. Basically, there's a tape that refers to the timeline of the mission. You can make it slower. You can make it playback slower or faster. So right now it's on half speed. You can put it on quarter speed. I think that's it. Yeah, quarter speed and half speed. So if you really want to get down into it and understand what happened and why, you can sort of slow it all the way down and play it out in slow-mo and see what happened. So you can see here, there's a little dogfight happening here between some Rafales and some F-18s. I can slow this down, put the trails on so we can see what's really happening here, and watch it in slow-mo. You can pause it, obviously. It has a timestamp here. So a really interesting feature is this timestamp, or this, what is it called? Playback tape, or whatever you want to call it. Anything that's blue refers to events that the currently selected entity created. So, he probably fired a missile here. Let's see. Yeah. So there is a blue bar here, and that's because he had done an event. There was an event in the log corresponding to this entity. So because of that, it shows you, if you want to know what this particular entity did, where those events are on the timeline, you can just drag it around to where that is, and then you'll see. Another really cool feature is, yeah, so that's all the timeline stuff. Another really cool feature is you can see the HUD view of the entity, and you can actually hold down left click, and then you can slew around as if you were there. This is extremely useful to see if someone could have possibly seen something during a fight. So like a lot of the time you're like, oh, why didn't that guy see that? Well, in some cases they just don't see it because it's so far up foresighted, or it's below the aircraft, and they just couldn't have seen it. So this is a great way to sort of, this is one of the coolest features, I think. This is a great way to understand what this pilot was looking at any given time, and it sort of has a very simplified but realistic looking HUD. I mean, similar to the F-16 HUD. It even, you know, it has the roll rate, flight path marker, the pitch, all that stuff is on there. Very useful for seeing what the other guy was seeing. Another view mode is so this is the most common one. This is the external view, and this basically just locks onto the entity in an isometric camera, and when you hold down left click and roll, you can see the entity from different angles. This is the most common one that we use when we do AARs. Then you have the satellite view, which is basically just a top-down view, pretty simple, just a top-down view, and you can hold down left click and drag. And you have the free camera, which is basically use the WASD keys, and you can hold down shift to make it go faster, but use the WASD keys, use the scroll on your mouse to go faster, and you're basically flying it around like an aircraft. This is pretty useful. I mean, I've used this occasionally, especially if you want to get, you know, special views of the action. You can see here it also has all the, you know, ground units and whatnot. This right here will just show you basically height lines. So you can see here, they're pretty, I don't know if you can make them out on the video, but there's these sort of opaque lines or transparent lines under the aircraft. If you disable that, then it won't show those. It's useful if you're trying to figure out, you know, in a dogfight, you can visually see the sink rate and the sort of altitude loss of a dogfight. Pretty useful that way. So you can sort of see here, if I pause this, you can see this line here. And while I'm doing that, I'll highlight another feature. If you hold down shift, you can actually do a laser pointer, which is really useful for multiplayer. But you can go, oh, there's some guys over there. There's some guys over there. Anyway, you can see here that this guy's losing altitude. And one way you can tell is just the visual lines and the transparent lines running up and down here. Very useful to see that way. I'll go ahead and turn it off for now. Of course, it also has a velocity vector or direction bearing right here. So this is this has the direction and the angle of attack. So the red line is the angle of attack. The blue line is basically where the flight path marker would be going. And of course, you can disable the name tags. I mean, it looks cleaner this way, it really does, but I think that most people use it with the name tags on so that they can, and you can change all these different, you can customize what's on the name tags and whatnot. It's really cool. But I think most people leave the name tags on because honestly, when you're doing a debrief, it pretty much looks like this, right? It looks like a jumble, but this is how you're actually doing the debrief. I mean, you want to see where all the different entities are. You can jump to them and whatnot, but you're going to want the labels on so you can see at a glance where everyone is. And then this is an extremely useful mode too. This little Shilka icon right here actually shows the air defense ranges of all the different entities. By default, you can see it by let me show you what I mean here. By default, you can see it by hovering over an air defense. So this is a ZU-23 right here guarding Al Manshura Air Base. If you select them like that, it'll leave it permanently on. But even if you're on something that doesn't have an air defense bubble and you hover over it, it will show it. So I go, oh, there's air defenses here. And what does it mean if, you know, your aircraft is inside that bubble? It means that you're within the RMAX parameters of that system, and that it could theoretically engage that aircraft if it's inside the bubble. Now, if you want to leave it on at all times without selecting any of the entities, you can just click that thing and now click the Shilka, and now you'll see all the air defense bubbles integrated. And it does, you know, the really cool thing is you can see here that there's a long-range SAM on that outer ring, probably an SA-5 if I had to guess, or a Patriot. Oh yeah, it's a Patriot. You can see it right here. Right here you can see the Patriot. So that's the Patriot, but then you can see the inner rings. So you can see the interconnected air defense rings as you get closer to a target, and you know, you can see how the aircraft are trying to pull your aircraft into those air defense rings and take you out. This is a really cool feature too. I think this one is only available if you have Tacview Pro. This shows the radar locks. So you can see that right here. This F-16 is being locked up by someone over here. Yeah, so Brainling right here, who's one of the UAF pilots, he's locking up this F-16, and you can tell with this blue dashed line right here. This blue dashed line tells you that. Cool, that's that feature. Then you have the you can turn on smart scaling. So this is the real object size, but obviously then if you zoom out, you really can't see any of the 3D entities. So what you can do is you can click that, it'll do smart scaling. You can do small or large. I would at least do some aspect of smart scaling, otherwise you're not gonna be able to tell what's going on. I mean, I do the large. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I just changed the label size. I usually leave it on large just so I can clearly see at a glance where everyone is. And this share shortcuts thing, I think it lets you make bookmarks in the timeline and share them. I've never really used this. I don't really see the value of this, honestly. And this last one here is really cool. This is, I've shown you guys this before. This is the trail size. So this is the historical path of each aircraft and what they took. So you can see here, if I zoom all the way out, that's the actual, this spaghetti right here is all the different aircrafts and the routes they took into the target area. And you can lower the trail size for, you know, you basically would lower it if you wanted to know a more recent history. You can see here that this MIM-104, which is a Patriot missile, it has a very long trail, and that's because it's moving very fast. Even if I limit the trail size to half, you can see that the trail is pretty long compared to the trails for these F-16s. That's because it's just moving much faster. The missile is moving much faster. Those are the main features. I mean, one of the greatest feature that I didn't show yet, though, is the online debrief. I mean, there's some other stuff in here. You can change the units, you can change the position data, you can change the different terrain modes, either 3D flat terrain, the correlation if it's from DCS World, Comanche versus Hokum, Falcon, real world data. You know, you can change all that stuff. There's like charts you can do with telemetry if you want. You can compare the I mean, you could really use this as a scientific tool to really get a good understanding of what happened. So this is comparing altitude to true airspeed for these two entities. You can scientifically understand at what point exactly did this fight go wrong for you, right? You can see all that stuff. You can see the raw telemetry if you wanted to have the true values. You can copy that stuff out. I mean, there's so much tool. There's so many tools here. I can't go over all of them, honestly. Okay, so one tool that I'm going to show in the form of another video that I'm going to add on to this is the online debriefing. The online debriefing is a super powerful tool. Basically, you host a multiplayer session of Tacview, and then people can connect to it. And when they connect to it, they can take control over, like, there's one instructor and there's one host. The host is hosting the actual Tacview session, but the instructor can manipulate the view, and whatever the instructor is doing, you get to see his view. And that's super valuable for doing these online debriefings with squadrons. Because one guy will take over, he'll talk about what happened in his flight, he'll jump to different positions, he might change the camera view, all the views are synchronized, and then he'll walk through what he thinks went wrong, and then the whole squadron gives their feedback and tries to give suggestions and points for improvement. Really valuable tool. If you guys are in a squadron and you're not doing this, you should do this. You should get a online debriefing going after every mission and walk away with at least 3 learning objectives and learning points so that you can get better every time you go up. So I'm going to end the video there. I'm going to actually end it with a recording of a recent online debrief we did at the squadron for one of our largest events. There was a 24 ship package that we did, very complex, and I'll just go ahead and tack that on to the end of this video and you guys can watch it. Ultimately though, I would highly recommend that you guys purchase this product. If you don't purchase it, at least get the trial and start messing around with it. Even the trial version, even after the trial has expired and you're in like the limited version of Tacview, is super valuable. It will totally change the way that you fly and the way that you learn. It will be an accelerator for your skills improvement. What I would recommend is that when you fence in, when you do your fence in check in flight, one of the standard things that you do is you turn on the AVTR recording. Just turn on the AVTR recording so that whenever you fence in, you're immediately recording. And then by the end of the mission, you have a nice recording that has from the time you're getting into the combat area to the time you're landing, so you can do a full critique of combat procedures, approach directions versus fragged plan, defense tactics, if they're effective or not. You can even go all the way down to the landing and talk about if the landing was effective and critique that. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Cheers.
Dude, at steer 5, or actually, what's that steer now? Yeah, steer 5. I'm gonna pass them. Fury 1 is going to pass steer 5, and the MiG-21s will likely start scrambling by then. Panther 1 will be right behind us. You guys are going to set up a barrier cap on that airbase. You're going to set up a barrier cap at Shunshan Air Base, and your task is to deny that airbase from MiGs getting airborne, as well as support us if we get into a merge or we need support. We'll go ahead. When we're in, the Seed will be 1 minute ahead of us, and they'll complete their attack on the SA-2. 2 minutes after that, the Oka will be approaching from the northeast, and they'll do a high altitude dive bomb attack onto Seoul using you can use probably Mark 84s to do that. So you do a high altitude dive bomb attack onto Seoul, or you could use Mark 82s. Either way is fine. Try to pull up at about 10,000. Reason for that is numerous SHORADs around the airbase, so high altitude dive bomb is essential. Come off east and rejoin at steer 9 to the northeast. 1 minute before the Oka is there, the Viper flight will be suppressing air defenses on the target. If unable, you'll be attacking secondary structures on the airbase, prioritize the buildings, and be coming off to the northeast as well. The egress direction will be northeast. The rejoin will be at Steer 9, northeast of the Steer 2 site that we're attacking. We'll use the mountain north of Steer 9 as our visual rejoin point, and is an area of relative safety. And then we'll egress out at medium altitude. Yeah, so for the F-14s, you guys will be flying at high altitude, and your task is to fly high cover and engage and destroy MiG-29s that are scrambling from the target, and as well as MiG-23s. My flight, which is Falcon, or disregard, Fury 1, will be dealing mostly with the MiG-21s, and I'll be dragging the MiG-29s and MiG-23s into your flight. Do note that there is a... So basically we can't clear the package in until the SA-2 is down and the SA-3 is down. So we're going to have to stay east of the SA-2 ring. I set up additional steer points on my flight plan at least, so that there is a steer west of Steer 5 that is on the edge of that ring, and we're going to loiter there, get air superiority, but we're not going to press west until the SA-2 is confirmed down and the SA-3 is confirmed down. Gus, just make sure that your TOT is aligned with the OCA, and you should be there no later than 2 minutes before the OCA gets there.
Yeah, well, 158.
There's just too much shit to manage, so just do it on your own. Okay, once the OCA is off, we'll call Miller time, and then we'll egress out at medium altitude. Please set the abort to Yachon. Do not set an abort on the western side of the flot, because you'll have to fly through a hawk in order to get there, and other enemy air bases, so we're going to stick to Yachon. Probably forgot a bunch of things. So, questions?
Wildcat.
Looks like.
Where, here or way earlier?
I'm 15 seconds in lag.
Rocky is exactly
Hello?
where I thought it was going to be, the Hawk.
Slider,
Wondering
do you have
if-
the end?
I should. Yes, I do.
Very ending?
Let me check.
Hey, thanks, Vandal.
Yes, I do.
Alright, let's use it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bucky,
I
just
shut it off.
let me know when you get a chance if this is what your threats look like. Just wondering if I communicated that.
So the engagement to the north, I'm not too worried about. What I want to see is specifically the Phoenixes that are shot basically across the package westbound.
That was way
Over
before
Seoul?
this. Yeah, that was the first engagement. If you select me, yeah, just head,
In front of you.
yeah, just fast forward. Like
And I want to see this MiG-23 flight that scared the piss out of
Okay,
the Tomcats.
hold on. Can you just give me control?
I had it a bit further east, roughly below the U, to the right of the U from
Okay.
Noru.
Oh, Slider, you're breaking my balls here.
Sorry. No, it's okay. It's back. They're still looking for it.
Okay, so it's right before this. So right here, I think right before this actually, I was locking them. Yeah, I'm locking them up right here actually. You see this?
Yeah.
So I identified them as MiG-29, and I realized that if I went north, they would not be a factor, and they were not within the commit range. So I told the F-14s to kill them. At this point, I'm gonna head north, and I'm gonna start clearing Chuncheon, and then we'll see what happens over here at the F-14s. Here's scope over here. You can see the rest of the packages continuing north as fragged, and here's a spread Phoenix shot.
Now take a look particularly at what Duchess is doing, that's Hellhound. Him and I got separated after the first engagement, but he was still visual with me the entire time, and when we got those targets, we locked it up extremely quickly.
Yeah, I saw
Like,
that.
Hellhound is so fucking ace. Also, take a look at that second Phoenix. It does this, like, split S into the MiG after it should have missed.
This is that one?
Didn't
Or
look
is
like
another
it.
one?
No, it was, sorry,
Your
the,
one?
the first engagement where Hellhound and I both launched one. I think it's Hellhound's missile, but it does some really fucking
yeah,
shit to
I saw
kill
that.
that MiG.
That wasn't a split S. Let's see how many G's it pulled. I don't think it was that many G's.
Looking at Foxy's Tacview here, it's those
6.5, 7
SU-25s that I disengaged. Those are the things
It's
that
slow
cause
down.
you problems on
How do
landing
you
scope.
slow this thing down?
Just
The
arrows.
blue slow down button. Or
Oops.
rewind.
Oops.
The blue rewind arrows.
I just fucked myself. Okay, the blue. Which ones? I see.
The next
Fast
one
without
I see,
the line.
I see.
So for the Tomcats, my first element, we had great situational awareness the entire time. Really good coordination, particularly because at the first half of the package flight, there was good comms between Krause's flight and mine.
I was before
So-
that. Sorry, go
So we were just able to. You gave us bullseye, we'd find the bandit, we'd kill the bandit. Element 2 would support. Things got a little more interesting once we started race tracking, which is after this MiG engagement, because Element 1 still had good SA. Every time we turned in, we'd find bandits. Element 2 had a much harder time. Drift was using the F-14 pit, and with that, night vision only works in a 45-degree angle, for whatever reason. So he basically wasn't able to maintain
I gotta
SA.
interject on that because I'm using the exact same pit and I didn't have it, so maybe it was
It's
my lucky day.
a noted problem. I was talking to, I think it was Dark Fiber about it. He says
So
the
was it my
exact
lucky
same
day?
thing.
Every time Fluky turned, I lost him, and I didn't pick him up for a long time. And I'd be following F-16s, trying to say, okay, well that's not an F-14. And I was calling out, trying to get bearings on my element lead, and I spent the entire flight tumbleweed.
Okay, so this right. Sorry, I'm 15 seconds behind.
I
but
get that. I have it paused. I'm just trying to find where the other guys are in your flight. Looks like Fluky's to the east of you. And where is number 4?
yeah, they're coming back from their racetrack.
Okay, understood. So now you're pressing in on a group of 23s.
Yep. So in my understanding of how this played out, and I haven't actually looked at it yet, so this will be interesting. We see these 23s, we engage, they dive, and one of our Phoenixes doesn't kill them, and then they nose in, and we're too close to get a Sparrow kill. Or like we're not able to see that last one on the deck. So we turn around, and at that point, the second element is at their like end of racetrack, and we have them turn in to delouse us. But they just couldn't find that other MiG. And so eventually 1 and 2 had to turn back in. Oh, and Hellhound ended up, something broke on his end. I'm not sure what happened. I think that his controls just borked, and he had to RTB.
Where is the other 2 guys right now? Oh, they're over here.
And so this was when I called
Yeah,
defensive.
Yeah,
Because
so
we were so blind on that last 23.
Yeah, so they're not finding your MiG because they're facing the completely wrong direction. So if you look at they are facing like west, and they're actually southwest, the bandits, and so are you. So you're right here. Yeah, Fluky's over here. Yeah, Fluky's looking at Seoul. So I don't know what your comms were, but you guys were looking at, both Coyote and Fluky were looking at Seoul, like directly due west, and the MiG was to the southwest.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just confused and finding the targets and what the
Were
fuck.
you
It was terrible
were you
work.
processing bullseye, Fluky, or were you
Was-
just trying to visually acquire what we were talking about?
No, I was trying to process bullseye, but I kept fucking it up. Like I kept
Okay.
looking at the bullseye, and I'm looking at the bullseye, and you're calling out 14035, and I'm like, okay, that's south and a little bit to the east. You know what I mean? 35 miles. And I'm looking at the bullseye, and I'm scanning. I'm like, what the fuck? but I'll tell you right now what I was doing wrong. Is I wasn't really looking like at the little numbers. I was, but I wasn't. Like I was doing that and looking at the bullseye, imagining that I'm facing north or some stupid shit that I did in my head. I don't even know what. It was retarded.
So it looks like Hellhound. It looks like Hellhound did fire off a Phoenix on the second one
No, that's me.
and
That's
hit
my
him.
missile.
So I completely can man up and own up to that.
So you-
completely terrible.
So you
bullseye
guys,
work there.
you guys did kill both of the MiGs, Scope.
Yeah, I had to turn back in once I figured out that Element 2 wasn't. But that MiG that I splashed 15 seconds ago for you, but that last MiG, it was on our RWR at our 6 o'clock, as we were pointed behind, like away. So I was confident. I've realized from the Acme now that it wasn't actually tracking us, but I was confident that he was like still beneath us, still nose hot on us, trying to get within range. And so we made the call to just burn out and get some SA, and hope Element 2 cleared it, which they couldn't. So Hellhound had to RTB, so I ended up turning in to cover his egress.
And my lead knew that the entire time. I was telling him, I'm looking,
Yeah.
I'm looking. I can't
Oh,
find
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And
no,
I
I-
was pissed.
I knew
was
that
like,
Element
fuck.
2 wasn't getting they weren't getting that target that I was calling. So that's why you had 2 minutes where we couldn't process targets for you, because I was trying to figure out what was going on with that MiG.
No. We didn't want to lose the airframe at all. Danger close.
What is?
Yeah,
Would have been
I-
silly had we gone trying to do that, and here comes the MiG pew.
What are
That
you
would
doing
have
down
been-
here, Bucky? What flight were you with?
Falcon 1.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I lost pretty much where I was going. I wanted to evade north, but I went south for some reason. And then I noticed, oh, there's the SA-5. That's south of us. And then I turned around and tried to rejoin on Dark Fiber again.
We got a little separated on the egress. We tried to anchor it twice to help out with anybody chasing you guys as you left.
I kind of saw Brainling, and I thought it was Darkfire, but it was Brainling, and I followed him for
Yeah.
a second because the distances were roughly the same, but Darkfire was doing a left-hand turn at that point, and I'm following Brainling. It was a bit.
You know what we probably should have done when we were egressing is we should have done a picture call. We would have that would have found those Su-25s.
Yep.
I was just like, it's really one of the escort's responsibilities. I was in like, I have low fuel and I'm drifting to home plate sort of thing, so I wasn't even thinking about that. But one of the escorts probably should have done picture, because we would have seen, oh, these guys are within 25 miles or something of us. How do you do the range between two things? Oh, there we go.
Ship right.
Yeah, 9 miles actually. 9 miles between us. Shit. Fucking look at skin here.
Any second they could have turned left and got a few kills.
That's, yeah, 10 miles to skin.
I know now. Next time, just ignore crows.
Yeah, man, you gotta just use your best judgment. I mean, everyone is supposed to be a leader.
I'm an automaton.
I really-
I'm sorry. I don't want to cause any problems.
I really drilled that
Almost.
plane.
Oh, I think it was right where that's
No.
where it was.
You said to me, put the marker on here, and we were like 10 miles east of the marker when we shot.
So can,
Oh,
we,
yeah.
And they were
can,
directly.
can we see the action on the SA2? I want to see how the Sam gets killed.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
I
here,
can't
here,
actually
Catherine.
see it. I don't have Tacview anymore, but
All right.
Ooh, you were low, huh?
I'm
sir.
streaming.
Pulling it down.
Gasman, are you in here or?
no, I can't because I don't have the fucking pro anymore.
Here,
We're watching
go
it.
streaming.
Okay,
Back
okay.
on it.
Stream.
Cool
Where is it?
kids only.
It's a TeamSpeak link.
Oh, nice. Was that a loft?
Wow.
It will
Okay,
be
cool.
up.
I'm in.
It was pretty cool to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had Slider go
That was like over
trail.
the shoulder.
plan was he's gonna get visual on me popping up, watch for SAM launches, and if I missed or I had to defend or anything, he was gonna run in just and do CCIP like a laydown.
You know what that is, gentlemen? That's called the alt campaign right there.
Ballin'.
Indeed.
This is the shit we
Yeah, we do.
practice in the alt campaign.
So
Alright,
much
so-
fun.
Lofting
So
from behind
windows
mountains.
open. It's good that you hit that on the first bomb because they didn't. Looks like,
Good job, Slider.
man, they just were not firing on you guys.
No, we were getting spiked. I just didn't care because I was focusing on, dealing with the bandits.
Okay.
I was getting spiked the whole time. I was like, whatever.
Let's see the attack on the airbase. It's too bad we didn't get to kill the NGs. I think they're kind of spread out.
Ooh, there's an SA-9 there. You see the SA-9?
Yeah, we saw it on the RWR. It popped up, A with a dot below it.
That's
Could
a
have hit it with
Shilka.
a strike.
That's a Shilka. A with a dot.
That also means like this little cop radar on the SA-9 too. Did they get rid of that?
Cop radar. With a little gun.
Yeah.
Very funny.
I just realized what you. I just realized what you were trying to say.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? A little
There's a
radar
guy-
in front of the SA-9.
Yeah, I know what
It's
you
like
mean.
a little cop radar.
The funny thing is, you're referencing like the old school radars that used to put in cars, sort of a little dot. I love it. You get hit by
Alright.
the X-band.
So, Breland was on my number 2. He carried some RKD2s, and I just had him hit the east runway. I had number 4 on east runway or west runway. It seems like he couldn't get bombs off on the pass, so Breland we just doubled up on in case the other Oka missed, and we still had strikes to spare.
Okay, awesome. That's good that you did that.
If we didn't do this, the airbase would be operational.
I realize that. Yeah. So you guys cleared the target of Oh, that's that's an epic grouping right there.
Vandal could not get bombs off.
Whoa, that's why.
I called a
Yeah.
CCIP on it, and
Oh my
they
god.
canceled.
So lucky.
Oh man,
Oh,
over G.
hey.
So lucky you didn't get killed by an SA-9 right there. The SA-9 didn't launch on him?
And
No, I didn't get on.
Just
What the hell? Where's everyone going?
Gasman's like, I'm in the overhead break. Nobody else.
Yeah, I
zoom
thought you
out a
guys
bit?
were closer to me than you were, so.
Yeah,
Then
we
cross
were
says,
pretty
cross
far.
says emergency landing, I wave off.
Yeah, I had like 300 pounds of fuel left.
Then my flight's far off to the east over the ocean all together, so I'm like, okay, I'll go get with them.
Yeah, and that's why
Oh,
people are.
god, Gasman.
That's why people are going around Gasman because they thought you were trying to land.
Well, no, I'm entering the break at 2,000.
Oh.
Yeah, I was too slow. I got too slow because I was trying to let them catch up with me.
We can
so-
barely see anything. Oh, yeah, that was.
Would've been
That
fine if I
got
just didn't get
so
too slow.
at that point, and I overshot him at like 200 knots or something. Then Slider was pretty close to me and had to wave off.
Center mass waves off.
Make it.
Skin doing a
Skull.
straight in.
Or skin.
Oh, I
Keep
wasn't
watching.
straight in. I was circling.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Skin.
see the line. You can turn there.
Oh, okay.
But something
Skin.
can someone
That sounds
explain to
like
me
Sorry, say again?
when you're on the final, do you only go after AOA or do
what
you
sound?
have like a certain speed?
In the stream. If you're watching, or you're in here.
No, I'm in. I don't have a stream. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, sorry, it was somebody else.
Oh.
I do
Oh,
150
sorry,
and then
skull.
AOA and
Skull.
then flare to like 13 degrees.
AOA is all that matters, honestly.
Sure. Oh god.
I mean, I try to make sure I'm below 150, and then I just fly AOA from there.
And that's like even if you're like one mile from the runway on final.
No, you don't care about AOA until you're about to touch down. It's when you touch down is the only time
Yeah,
you care.
because for some reason, I mean, if you can zoom out a bit and look at us for landing, we were pretty slow when we turned to final.
AOA just makes sure that you're not going to hit the ground so fast that you're going to blow up. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you use it.
Yeah, and what I like what I thought was the correct way was like you try to stay fast as long as possible, and then only slow down when you're really a few hundred feet from touching down. So you don't slow down to 160 knots while you are still miles away.
No,
This-
you're gonna
this
approach.
This is pretty much considered a straight in. When you're doing an overhead brake, you need to be like 1,000 AGL. So they come in from like 5,000 AGL. And so if someone were doing an overhead brake, they wouldn't, you know, they're looking around here, right? They wouldn't see someone coming in from 5,000 feet. And they would almost look like a straight in.
What killed our AWACS?
225.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Can you take a look at Falcon landing? I want to see the speed.
You said 5,000 feet for what part of it?
On the brake.
Whoa,
Five-
no, that's not what
whoa,
it says in the
whoa.
SOP that we have been following.
What does it
It's
say in the SOP?
2,000.
Okay, so they were at 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
5,000
way,
is too
way,
much.
way high. Yeah.
BMS documentation says 1,500, but we're gonna do 2,000 because it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
More
it's
room.
easier. So
That's
like
what
a
force
5,000,
major
and
force major
Yeah.
document says.
yeah. So if you're coming in for a 5,000
Major.
break, you're not going to be able to see, or no one's going to see you pretty much, and you're not going to see them. You're too high.
I also think if you're too low, you're gonna have a chance of mid-airing people.
It's 2,000, everybody, from now on. And 350 knots is what he says. I got too slow because I was waiting for everyone to catch up.
That's okay.
Did you
I told him
get
to go
the,
echelon right.
F14?